You and Danny had to go in with your dad and I keep repeating back, because those are significant moments in your life where the reason why you don't think, you know, if this fails, it's no, right now is a period, but we're getting it on the right track. Is going to be on the right track, period. There's no option, and we're going to be successful. Do you, are you concerned because you may feel that your children and Danny's children have not experienced that level of pressure points in life? So like you don't know how to get them to either understand it or know how to swim out of that situation when if time came where there's difficult moments in life.
That's a concern because not knowing what hot is when you're cold, does that make cold worse or does that make it less? I mean, you have to know the opposite of things you're in. And once again, being in debt and being in the situation we were in, it was never thought about it once. It's just all I thought it was succeed in being positive. With them, with having money in the bank, with being in the position it is, and the mothership being not in debt. I don't, it's scary to think about that because if you really start looking at yourself in the mirror, you start getting an ego on yourself. You start forgetting what made the big Texan great. And what about the hard work you have to put into it? Because, well, I've got money, I drive a nice car, I've got a nice house. We didn't have those things, and they're in a good position, but they do have a lot of that stuff. And I don't know if that's going to affect their work ethic down the road. I mean, if things continue the way they're going right now, it's going to be great for everybody. But restaurant, I mean, the second, it's just like driving a car. If you let go of the wheel, even if it's balanced or everything, it eventually starts working over to the side of the ditch, and all of a sudden you're in the ditch. And just a little correction here, a little correction there is all you need. And if you don't do those little corrections, you'll end up in the ditch. And that's the one thing in their position that they're going to have to watch for is to understand, hang on to that wheel and always keep it right in the middle of the road. Because if you don't take that hand off the wheel, no matter what you think, it will go off in the ditch. And restaurant business is notorious for that.
Would
But
you not ever want to test them or allow them to be tested in the sense of take on some kind of debt and responsibly pay it back but not through the master account or whatnot, but like to earn and gain and understand like how you'll have to calculate what these expenses are going to be in addition to whatever else you may take on,
mhm.
just to get an understanding and a kind of respect, like how can you balance debt to what you have in cash and what you have in various situations, because you know debt can also be used in a form of growth, but at the same time, like you said, irresponsibility can easily put you behind the eight ball pretty quickly.
It is. And I've talked to a local bank president, a good friend of mine, Richard Ware at Amarillo National Bank. And that's not a product placement promotion either.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. No, 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 no,
that's
no.
he's a very good friend. And he suggested that you should look at debt, like the expansion of the big Texan. It's going to be at a $4 or $5 million project. Go ahead and take that debt out and put that debt on them and see how they do with that.
Will you allow it to be just on them?
Hmm. Yeah,
That'd be good.
very easily. And we're considering doing something like that. And they need to know what that is and how fast can they get that paid off and their tolerance, for establishing debt. Some people don't mind debt. Your family's, I don't know how they do it. I still don't know how to, even though you explained it to me the other day, I still don't know how they do it. But tolerance to amount of debt that you can carry and live with. That's something that's a special talent and something. And once again, like I said, I stuck my head in the sand and I knew if I worry about that, I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do here. So
Yeah,
damn the torpedoes and go forward with it. With my kids, they need to understand that feeling of debt, know what hot is, to know what cold is, to know what dark is, to know what light is. You have to have those things to where you can understand where you need to be on that stuff.
yeah. No, and that it's a good experience to be able to have for them to have because you're still here to help. guide, you know? I mean, it's invaluable lessons and knowledge that I can only create through experience and time, as well as vicariously, basically, like through what you've went through, what my parents have went through. So the questions I ask, the meetings I sit through, the things I'm mentally noting at all times that I'm listening. You know, there'll be a piece that you'll say, and I'll be like, I remember Bobby saying this, and this is how he handled X, Y, Z. Why? Because that's just how my mind works. I've learned that through my family. You know, you always try to remember key points because those points may come about where you'll need to use those in order to get a loan, to know how to react to a situation. You know, if you never change the light bulb, do you know how to unscrew it? You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
without experience, you can actually grow, and that's been that is your kids and Danny's kids big fortune, as well as my fortune, my sister's fortune, is that we were able to experience things through our parents, and you know, whatever mistakes they made, whatever difficult moments they went through, we were alive and available and involved to see all those different things come about. And if that can happen and you think it's acceptable, then I think that would probably be a good opportunity for them to really understand and know what their threshold for pain is, and what is too much and what is just enough where you can still continue to make growth but not overdo it, where again the bouncing ball, as you say,
Yeah.
is always has an eye on it.
It's that and understanding in the restaurant, like I mentioned earlier, you're under attack in the restaurant business, probably more so than any other business because there's too damn many reviews and people reviewing you and putting stuff online and the impact of social media, a negative thing on it. The government, God darn, I remember the government coming in with the Department of Labor underneath the Democratic president and attacking the mom and pops operations in this country back in the early 2000s, and we were one of those. And it we were put in the newspaper as this big fine we got because we didn't have something posted by the time clock. We didn't have something on the payroll check that said that they had a certain saying for the government. I mean, we got this incredible fine for it, and we were made to look as though we were bad people, but by the Department of Labor and did this to our employees. And there would have made no difference on what the employees made from the big Texan at the time, but yet we were made to look like we were doing something horrible to them in the newspaper and paid $900,000 and had the stress level that was just horrible. Uh, we've been in lawsuits before, and there's always lawsuits in any business. And you know, you can see with my boys now, there's some of them that are just horribly terrified of lawsuits about things happening and a slip and fall, somebody tripping on this, employee suing you. It's just little things that are part of the business, fluctuation in meat prices and things like that happening. There's lots of little things that's going to affect their personalities, and once again, some of them are stronger in dealing with it, some of them are weaker in dealing with it, and they're really not sure because of the confusion of it. But certain things in the restaurant business, you have to be thick-skinned because it never stops. And you work as much from shoulders up as you do shoulders down in the business. And anybody says, "Well, I want to be in the restaurant business, but I don't want something as big as yours." You know, if you have something successful, you're gonna be there 12 to 14 hours a day regardless. If you're doing real good or real bad, and like I said, our the way that the boys were trained, they all are understand hard work and what it's like to work the 14, 15-hour days and know what goes into that. It's just the idea that they need to understand that there is no money in the bank. You have to make it work or else. And that type feeling is that's where the men are pulled away from the boys real quick.
Yeah, no, I 100%. You know, we uh let's see, right before COVID, um, a general contractor was stealing money. I mean, lots of money. And when the check was written to the general contractor, it was to pay each sub. And the thing is, like, so we'd get the bank and I would get the documents to say, hey, HVAC, they have asked for X amount of dollars because they finished all this and that up. Great. We cut it. And then come to find out, he wasn't giving them any money.
Ooh.
Like if you gave them, let's say $100,000, they give them 10. They say, well, the owner's not giving money. And all these things are happening. Because I was in construction, I understood. Like I talked to so many different people, like an elevator company, and say, "Why have you guys not came out? We're about to pour, or we have poured the concrete, and you guys still haven't came out. That makes no sense to me. You guys come before pour, and then right after a pour of concrete. What is going on? Why are you guys not?" It's like, well, you guys haven't cut the check. That's a $125,000 check. That's a down payment. That's half down before you get started. They will not send anybody out until that half is down. And that half down check was written a separate check and given to the GC. And then we find that out. So when we stepped in, found out that the general contractor was saying that we were, what do you call it? We were fighting against doing what's on the plans. We were bad mouthing. And then they were bad mouthing us that we were saying and trying to do shady things in construction. I'm like, why would I do that? There's a life safety issue here that I need to make sure that all my guests are protected. This is a 4-story building. You can't do crazy things like that. And so we're we're going through all this situation, and that that was our moment in 2020. I finished the town place, and that was a difficult finish. Why? Because like we had to do it with very little funds remaining and still get it finished.
Man.
And then the 4 Points, the Ross and Osage property, that one he demoed and took some money, and he literally left all the trash in the atrium. Like if I showed you the picture, the trash was about 12 to 14 feet tall. I mean, they broke all the windows and everything on the interior and then just dropped into the middle of the atrium. Literally had to cut a hole out and then get a mini excavator to pick up, dump, and then get rid of it all and step into that. So at that time, I was working 12 to 14-hour days. And I really, until I got to March of 2019 or March or April of 2019 till September 7th of 21, it was continuous 12 to 14 for survival because one, my family has not worked over 35 to 40 years to create something that took a lifetime to create, to be taken away off of people doing shady things. Like that's not even an option in our home. And so you really do find your grit depending on where your mindset is whenever you're put in a situation of that nature.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, my wife could tell you at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, an alarm goes off and I'm like, somebody's in the building. You're so drained because you're doing so many hours. Like I would just drive out and I just go in the building and go, where the hell is this guy? Where are you? Whatever that's trying to steal or damage something in the building. Because remember, it was rough because, it was cold. It was freezing cold. People didn't have jobs. There wasn't money flowing. So, like, people were doing insane things from, ripping pipe to copper or whatever, stealing things. And so, like, when it's midnight, and you've already been working till 9 p.m. or so just to make sure everything's locked up for somebody to come in. You just don't care anymore. You're just like, go in. I'm gonna go find you. I was very fortunate, thank God. I never actually had to confront, and nobody did anything crazy. And I had good managers, and I had good family support, and everybody that was always there. And we always had officers and stuff. So APD and everybody was ready and willing to help, and they were great with us. So, but yeah, that was our moment. So that was my 2 years, roughly about 2 years of continuous go in order to get out of a difficult situation
Was
that
that a golden lining for you?
it showed me my tenacity. And if I anything I put my mind to, I can put down any day. If I go in my mindset, if I go into hero mode, I call it hero mode because like no matter what, I will make sure this is lifted. Like whatever it takes, I will lift this building or whatever I got to do up. So in our home, you call me if things hit the fan. If anything ever hits the fan, personal, business, whatever, I'm the first call. You make me the call because then I can go hyper focus. So when things are going well, like I let everybody else kind of handle the things, but if anything ever goes awry, I'm the call you make during those times. So that's my skill set. That's where like I have that my blood flows and I can really focus in when those moments come when there's difficult times. So I'm the guy you call for those times
Yeah.
in our home.
That's good though.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, that experience was
Oh yeah.
so great.
I'm the most knowledgeable in construction in our business. And I have the construction company now. So since I have the construction company, like I'm the one that really goes through a lot of
UGC
stuff.
stuff now?
Mhm.
Huh. Gotta
Yeah.
talk to Patrick about the new project that we're wanting to do.
But I GC only within the company. So but anything that you guys need help with, anything, obviously, I'm available a phone call away, and I can break down and give you forms and whatnot to help you with that if there is a
We'll
chance that
start
you guys
getting
want to
near the
step
damn
in.
city.
So, okay, I know I went off on a full tangent, but
It's good.
so you're second generation, 30% chance of survival. Okay, and it was in Danny's hand. Now you're on third generation. You have a 12 to 14% chance of survival. Fourth generation is a 3 to 5% chance. Now, as you know, and I know, it's due to multiple personalities. And then as the family expands and grows, there's a lot more thoughts and different people that want to be Bobby Lee or want to be Danny, but there's six people. Right now, there's four people. But it seems like because you guys have a good, strong hand, there's a lot of great stuff. But this is, I know you would probably have concerns because, it's in your position and whatnot. But as I went back from the beginning, what you told me about your father and what he did to grow the business, to the decisions you made to help grow the business, to today, what Patrick and the team are doing to help continue to have eyeballs on the business and have people remember and the newer generation to at least want to experience something like this, because you can't get this experience necessarily in Dallas, you can't get it in San Antonio, you can't get it in various places. There's something you magically do and only you guys do. And I genuinely mean this. I told you, I think you're an artist. You guys, you're a magician when it comes to marketing. Very few people understand the how crucial it is to be able to entertain while also market and help everybody want to be part of the story as well as be part of that that experience to go, hey, I went there 30 years ago. Now I'm bringing my kids. And then that one's going, oh well, I brought my grandkids. These stories keep evolving, keep growing, and so it doesn't end up dying with with the billboard, with the cowboys that were in that diner, with the radio stations that you would do your events, with the TV stations that you also worked with the urinals at the truck stops. You know, I think the best thing you have always held on to from your father and until now is always knowing how important it is to evolve within the base of the group of people that will be coming in the future as well as what's going to keep the eye on the ball without letting that ball stop bouncing. There's a constant viewership there, and your son has found a way to make the world seem smaller than what it really is. And what I mean by that is that you have 800 million views, roughly. It could be more by now, but you have roughly 800 million views. If I went to your analytics, I am guaranteeing it is a global view. There is not, oh, it's only here. Oh, it's only there. There. You are globally viewed. And so anyone who gets the opportunity to come through, they have to see that spot. I saw it on video. I cannot not go and not experience that. That's what I mean by you guys created a method to shrink what is a massive global people that we live with, and get everybody to experience this small town and this small space just to say that you were part of that. Just to say that I got to, maybe I attempted it and I didn't succeed, but I got to do it. That was pretty cool. I got to be on a stage. They announced me. I got to wear this stuff. I got to play this. I got to have fresh fudge. I never even knew that you could have fresh fudge. I didn't know you could get these little trinkets. I got a big Texan t-shirt because, I just told them how, I love Texas. And they were just, and the owners walked up to me. How do you do that? This is such a massive building. And I saw them in, from Europe somewhere or in Australia, wherever I was. And I got to experience this. But you pique curiosity, and that is something that will never change in this world. The curiosity you guys pique from the beginning to continuing now is what is the reason why I don't feel you should necessarily be concerned. Always obviously keep the eye on the ball, but as concerned because you guys are tracking the most important pieces of the big view. You're piquing curiosity, and anytime you feel there's an opportunity to create additional curiosity, you take the chance. You pull the trigger in a metaphorical way. You don't hold on and just see if and rethink it and not ever test. People who get complacent are the ones who don't test. They don't try. They don't give things a shot. And you give that freedom to your kids. And by giving that freedom to your kids and letting them have opportunities to fail, to succeed, to try, that gives them the confidence and the ability to further grow, to retain and sustain that business and what that experience is. But curiosity is the thing that you're just a phenomenal artist, and marketing is what I will always tip my hat to. But for my final question to you, so let's say you could have your father one day on this earth, and that's today, and you, with all your vast knowledge and everything you've experienced, what would you show to your father? What would you like to tell him? And what would you like to hear from him?
What would I like to hear from him? I would like to know about his dad, more about Jim Lee. I always hear he always said that he was a drinker and he'd get mad and start hitting all the kids. But I would just like to know more about his operations. Just like my dad always talked about whenever World War II was over with and all the servicemen were coming back home, he did a deal that said that if you could come in and eat a whole fried chicken, that he could have it, you could have it. If you were a service guy, if you could eat the whole thing, he'd let you have it for free. And I'm sure that that's stuck in his mind. That's stuck in his mind about eating that would create a curiosity, saw that reaction or the what's the right word? The sign that says wet paint. You gotta touch it to really see if it is, that
Curiosity.
feeling. I mean, how do you establish that with that? Um, the billboards, of course, I would love to show him, or at least have Patrick show him the social media because it's a great line what you said, it's made the world smaller. Um, to tell him or show him is the social media thing of this thing because it's something that it's so new, but it's so powerful. God darn, is it powerful. And it's just started. I mean, it's just something you can't even imagine. I mean, to get that word out immediately. I mean, the olden days, they said, you hear about it on the radio, you see it at the 5 o'clock news, and you read about it in the newspaper the next morning. Social media, it's instant. I mean,
Hmm.
it's instant information. The internet, it's instant information. And, how do you know about? I mean, you can instantly know about this stuff. There's no waiting anymore. It's just instantaneous. Just amazing on that. Something how you can make that happen. The old adage of the basic principles of him talking and saying, I thank him for telling me that marketing the right message to the right people at the right time. How simple is that?
Right
It
message,
right
right
people,
people
the
at
right
the
time.
right time.
Yeah, and it
Mm.
works. It works.
Well, with that said, Bobby, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to sit down with you and hear your story, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great job.
All right.